Fox, he owns Fox Brewing. Don't think you're supposed to be here, that's the chance to get to go back. All right, we're all here for the same reason, so let's get to the candidates. We're really happy to have Wayne Messam here with us tonight. Mr. Messam comes to us from Miramar, Florida. For those of you that aren't familiar with Miramar, it's very close to Miami. You might have guessed by his stature that the man has an athletic background. He was on a national championship team with the Florida State Seminoles. He played on teams that had high school trophy winners. He had a lot of background with the great coach Bobby Bowden. You might remember those days at Florida State. He also went to high school in a place that might be familiar to you that are avid Iowa Hawkeye fans. Look up John. Bell played home of Brad Banks, runner-up for the Heisman Trophy just a few years after Wayne was there. Wayne is currently the mayor of Miramar. As we said, we're honored to have him here at Fox Brewing. He's an announced candidate for the Democratic nomination for president. I'll turn it over to Wayne.
Well, good afternoon. Thanks, Mr. Fox. Wow, I would have thought you'd known me for years, that introduction. So, he said it without taking a breath. But I'm so excited to be here in Iowa and would like to thank Fox Brewing for opening up their doors for me to get an opportunity to meet everyone. I got in this morning. The weather was nice and cool. That's a great thing. Back at home, it's about 88 degrees already. It's getting hot. But it's great to be here in Iowa. So what we'll do tonight is I'll just share a little bit about myself, who I am, what I stand for, and why I'm running for President of the United States. And then what I'm really most interested in is a dialogue with everyone. Feel free to ask me any questions on that you may have, and I'll be able to address them to the best of my ability. And so I'll start out first by just sharing a little bit about myself. As I stated before, I'm Wayne Messam. I'm from South Bay, Florida, a little rural town, a farm area, right off the shores of Lake Okeechobee in South Florida. I'm the son of immigrants. My parents are from Jamaica. They're Jamaican natives. And my father, before becoming an American citizen, the first permanent resident of the United States, he was a contract sugarcane cutter. He would come back and forth from Jamaica to South Florida cutting sugarcane. It was a very hard manual labor. And he did that to make money to support his family in Jamaica. And he did that for over a decade in the hot summer heats of South Florida in the very neighborhoods where I grew up. So my father actually got his opportunity to start a new life in America when my eldest aunt, who was living in Philly, sponsored him to become a permanent resident. So probably after a couple of days in the winter in Philly, he said it was too cold up there, and he moved back when we moved to South Florida to an area he was more comfortable in terms of the weather. And he eventually became a groundsman. Now my mother, when he brought my mother over, she actually was a cook who went out into the sugarcane fields to feed the men that was out there working. And eventually became a domestic worker. So my father was a contract sugarcane cutter, my mother was a cook. So those were the humble beginnings where I come from. I was later born in South Florida, where I happened to be a tall, skinny, lanky kid. Actually, I was known in the neighborhood as that nerd over there. So I was kind of a bookworm. But a bookworm that actually had the ability to run and jump. And I started playing football to get away from some of the chores that my parents had for me at home. And next thing you know, I started getting letters from all these universities recruiting me to come play football for the university. I didn't get any letters from the University of Iowa. Iowa State, I guess I wasn't good enough to come all the way up here, but I settled for Coach Bowden at Florida State University, and where we won our first national championship my freshman year in 1993. I caught my first touchdown from Heisman Trophy winner Charlie Ward in 1993, my freshman year against Clemson, who was dominating college football right now. So I had a great opportunity to go to Florida State University. While I was at Florida State University, I was very active on campus as a student athlete. I was student government vice president. My senior year, when I was starting as wide receiver, had an opportunity to chase my dreams to go to the NFL with the Cincinnati Bengals. So it's been every year is surreal watching the draft because you see the lives of so many players just change just from the instant of a pick by a team holiday. Well, my NFL career was cut short. I had a brief stint in corporate America in my life, and I decided to open a construction management business. And when we started our construction management business, we got certified as we got accredited as lead accredited professionals. So I'm a lead AP for those of you in construction who are familiar with sustainable construction. I held that designation since 2009, 10 years, way before it became sexy to be a lead AP, way before anyone was talking about how the construction industry can impact or be better stewards of our environment by managing our materials, sourcing of materials, selecting high efficiency mechanical equipment, and giving recommendations. So that's been a part of my DNA long before I got into public service. In fact, our company helped build one of the greenest schools in the Southeast America, Galaxy Elementary, which received LEED Platinum certification by the United States Green Building Council. So I know a little bit of thing about building and building in a sustainable way. And then I decided to run for office in 2011 for my city's commission. And when I ran for office, being a political novice, I actually filed to run during qualifying. I had no ground game. I did nothing to build coalition in terms of support. I had just been served on some advisory boards and wanted to see something different in my community. Ended up winning that race by 30 plus votes. So you can't tell me that one vote doesn't matter, because in that race it did. And after my first term as commissioner in the city of Miramar, I decided to run for mayor. People thought I was crazy. Miramar, one of the fastest growing cities in the country, has one of the fastest growing economies in the country as well. We're the 13th largest city in Florida. We're a major suburban community in South Florida, situated right between Miami and Fort Lauderdale. We have more Fortune 500 companies than any city in South Florida, serving as the gateway to the Caribbean and Latin America. So Miramar is a very vibrant and robust community. More importantly, it's a very diverse community. When I unseated the 20-year incumbent, I became the first Black mayor of my city. Our city is really demographically split in almost in thirds. It's about 32% Hispanic and Latino, about 36% African American and West Indian, and about 18 to 20% Caucasian. So a very diverse community, a lot like where America is changing into in terms of diverse communities. So what that taught me was that it shaped me to be a leader, to understand not only the differences from a cultural standpoint, but looking at families and what families want for their families, to be prosperous, to be able to achieve the American dream, that same American dream that my parents was attracted to when they came to this country. So the reason why I work is because I believe that the very American dream that my parents was attracted to in this country is slipping away from average, hard-working Americans. Access to health care is becoming more and more of a challenge. Seniors are really struggling with affording their high costs and life-saving prescription medications, and oftentimes have to make a choice between buying their medicines and just getting basic necessities to survive. We talk about gun violence that's taking place and ravaging across our country. You know, Parkland is just 15 minutes north of my city. We actually send police officers to respond to that. I'm suing the state of Florida right now. Hear this, you won't believe it. In the state of Florida, it is so bad in terms of the grip that the NRA has in our state legislature, that if I as a mayor even put on our city's commission agenda to even discuss gun safety, the governor of Florida can remove me from office. I will be personally fined $5,000, and our city will be open to litigation for anyone who says that their Second Amendment right was violated, even if I wanted to discuss if we should consider not allowing soft-style weapons in our parks. Something as sensible as that, right? So we're suing the state of Florida regarding that. Here's another thing that you may find interesting in terms of fighting for progressive issues. Just today, our city, along with our county, petitioned the Supreme Court because we're trying to prevent a property owner from getting an exploratory oil drilling permit in the Everglades on the border of our city, threatening not only the Everglades, but threatening our water supply and the water supply of nearly 8 million South Floridians. That's what we're fighting right now in my city. I'm the mayor of a city that passed the living wage. I'm a mayor of a city that banned the box. And for those of you who don't know what ban the box means, that means that question that's asked on applications: have you ever been arrested? So in our city of Miramar, we ban that question because oftentimes it disqualifies an applicant before they're even evaluated. And I believe that as a mayor and as a future president, that if someone had a hiccup in their past, it shouldn't be a death sentence for the rest of their life. They're trying to get that on the right track. Of course, jobs that have sensitivity and security issues that require additional screenings will vet itself out. But for that initial screening, I believe that we should have enough compassion to help someone or allow someone to get back on track. So the question may be, well, why as mayor do you think you can run for president? Despite the fact that you're a mayor at a major city in Florida, a state, by the way, you're at a Brown State, only candidate that's announced from the South. What experiences that you have that qualifies you to be able to run for president? And I think that question is not the proper question. I say, what does Washington experience have to do with meeting the needs of the American people? Because mayors are closest to the American people. We don't have the luxury to run away from our constituents in the grocery store. We're on the ground level. Whether we get enough support or not from the federal government, I have to make sure our water is clean. I have to make sure our streets are clean. I have to make sure that jobs are coming to our community. I have to make sure that we have a living environment, that our families not only want to be there, but want to thrive there, and that their children want to come back to live in their neighborhood that they're living, that they grew up in. And as mayors, we have to make sure that our infrastructure is intact. Let me tell you what I'm doing in the city of Miramar. Right now, we're investing hundreds of millions of dollars in our infrastructure because we don't have to debate the science if climate change is real. We know that we're getting stronger hurricanes in South Florida. We know we are getting stronger rain events and our communities are flooding. So we have to raise our streets. We have to put in more resilient infrastructure. But I'm not debating the science. I'm putting people to work and I'm making sure our infrastructure is intact. Tell me what senator is doing that. Tell me what House of Representative is doing that. Tell me who's in the White House is doing that, because we're still waiting for an infrastructure bill. I can't wait on Washington, and neither can you, because we know that Washington is broken. We need leadership, new leadership, that understands the challenges of what Americans are going through today, recognizes these challenges, as well as can call out the crises that we see are coming that we aren't even paying attention to. One big proposal that I launched, I just launched March 3rd. I was just reelected by my constituents in the middle of March with 86% of the vote. And some people say that's strong. I'm scratching my head and saying, wow, there's 13-point-something% of residents that didn't vote for me. I mean, I have a lot of work to do to get those 13% to support me. But I proposed on the 30th when I launched my campaign, the first candidate to lead on this issue. So it's interesting to see other candidates now beginning to start to put out a proposal. My first big proposal is to eliminate the $1.5 trillion in outstanding student loan debt that's crippling our economy. We have college students that are graduating with over $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 in student loan debt.
The analysis states that on average, it's $400 per month that people are paying to pay back their debt, averaging over $30,000 in outstanding student loans. To get a job that's paying $30,000 a year, it's stopping them from being able to buy their first house. In some instances, it's people are questioning why even start a family until I get all this debt out of the way. It's not only impacting students and recent graduates, it's impacting mothers, fathers, grandparents that are all taking out these student loans. And even worse, guess who has the burden of this? Hardworking Americans, middle-class America. Because society tells us, go to school, get a college degree. It's your best shot to get a high-paying job, right? Corporations demand that you have a 4-year degree, or I won't even consider you. And that's at least a 4-year degree, if not even higher. So if society is saying this, corporations are demanding this, but who's footing the bill? Every year, this administration continues to take away Pell Grants, fundings for universities and colleges. But for those families that don't have enough funding to pay for their children's education, have to take these loans. So I agree with the field that says that we have to work towards debt-free college and low-cost college. But before we do that, we have to take care of the $1.5 trillion in outstanding student loan debt. It's the second highest consumer debt in this country, second only to housing. And it surpasses credit card debt by $500 billion. I'm not saying let's wipe it out just for the sake of wiping it out. I'm proposing it as an economic stimulus. Our analysis states that wiping out this debt would add $80 to $100 billion to the economy. Will create 1 million to 1.5 million jobs. This is all in the first year. Free up on average $400 a month, where now that graduate can think about buying that first home, or perhaps starting a family, or investing in their retirement, or even starting a business. These are real dollars. So I kind of chuckled when one of the entrants in the race, one of the senators proposed a student loan debt forgiveness. So I applaud, it doesn't go as far as my plan, but I applaud the fact that we are beginning to talk about an issue that we just accept as a form of life. So in summation, when we talk about these issues, we have to make sure that as a country, we are prepared to invest in our future generation, ensuring that they are educated, qualified, and skilled, so that our corporations can continue to innovate and solve the problems and challenges of our country and the world. And I believe that we all can do this because we're in the same boat. And no one raised their hands to ask me how we'll pay for this. We will pay for this by repealing the Trump tax cut. $2 trillion that went to major corporations, which reports are showing that aren't even paying taxes, and to the richest of Americans. That is how we're going to pay for it. And moving forward, we'll consider options in terms of just a small payroll tax to corporations so that they can have skin in the game, because they're benefiting from a skilled workforce that's helping their companies to become profitable. That will go towards funding higher education, providing financial aid for individuals who need it. So that's why it's so important that we come out with bold ideas. And we're not seeing these bold ideas coming out of the White House. All we hear coming out of the White House is the separation of Americans, pitting Americans against Americans. Internationally, we've lost our respect. We're befriending enemies and making enemies of our allies and our friends. And I want to restore the dignity of the United States internationally. I believe that the United States must work its way back to being the honest broker in dealing with foreign affairs and issues. And I can tell you during Q&A about my recent trip to Israel and how I see that Middle East crisis that's going on right now, hands-on, from being on the ground and talking to the people of Israel as well as the Palestinian people. And it was a great experience. So, well, on that note, I just wanted to share a little bit about me, about where I'm going in terms of this campaign, the issues that we're fighting for. So if you're looking for a president that will have the political will to deal with healthcare head on, I'm your candidate. If you're looking for a candidate that's willing to deal with gun violence head on, I'm your candidate. If you're looking for a president that's willing to deal with climate change head on, I'm your president. If you're looking for a candidate that's looking at how to solve this student loan debt crisis and the cost for higher education, I am your candidate. I want to be your champion for change because I believe that change cannot wait. We cannot have the same status quo leadership and expect it to solve the challenges that we continue to face. And I thank you for allowing me just a few minutes just to tell you about Wayne Messam and my candidacy. And now we'll get to the fun part with the questions. So thank you so much. Yes, sir.
Oh, great. Hi, Mayor Messam. Thanks for coming out today. My name's Clay. I'm a volunteer with the Rights for All ACLU project. And I just wanted to ask about criminal justice reform. Obviously, we have the amount of people in prison in the United States is higher than any other industrialized nation in the world. And that particularly affects black men and really tearing up those communities. My father actually works for the U.S. Attorney's Office back in Illinois, and back during the 90s, they were like locking up a lot of folks for mandatory minimums for minor drug offenses, and he actually remembers when Obama was pardoning and issuing lots of clemencies, that one of the people who got a clemency was someone who he had been involved with in terms of prosecuting, and actually felt really good that person was let out early because he was thought that the mandatory minimums were unfair, but there wasn't much he could do about it because that was the sentencing guidelines at the time. So my question is, what would you do in terms of getting us back on track in terms of pardoning and clemencies for a lot of folks who are still serving these outrageous sentences in our prisons right now, because Trump and his Attorney General basically stopped the whole process in terms of issuing pardons and clemencies for folks who have been locked up for really minor drug offenses for too long.
Yeah, great question. I would want an Attorney General that will have that type of sensitivity in terms of some of the injustices or the unbalance of how we treated certain drugs versus others. For example, if you sold crack cocaine back in the 80s and the 90s, your sentencing was much harsher than if you had powder cocaine. There was an imbalance there. So obviously we have to correct the laws because there are millions of people that are in jail right now that are serving mandatory sentences where common sense could not be played in terms of the sentence. Judges were not able to use their temperament and just sound judgment in terms of looking at a case for its merit to say that, yes, they wrote the law. This sentencing probably should be around 3 or 4 years, opposed to a 25-year minimum sentence because of the mandatory sentencing laws. So this would be something in terms of a Messam administration that we will, regardless of the color of the skin, that we will want to look at these types of cases where we have individuals that are serving sentences where they should not be served that amount of time. It was interesting when there was a particular comment made about prisoners voting. And I sent a tweet, not necessarily dealing with the fact that prisoners voting. I said, instead of focusing on prisoners voting, how about we talk about the millions of individuals that are incarcerated in jail that should be out because they serve so much time in jail, who should be free citizens voting? That would have much more impact than talking about one individual or the Boston Marathon long run having the ability to vote. These are the common sense issues that I want to bring to the table. And that's why I'm asking you all right now to help me to
get to the debate stage. Because I know that for some of you, Messam is the first time you've heard of that name, much less the first time meeting you. And I want to have an opportunity to earn your vote. That's why I want you to help me to get on the debate stage. The DNC requires candidates to have 65,000 unique donors to the campaign. And they have to come from 20 different states with 200 voters from those 20 states. Or you have to poll 1% of free national polls in your other states. I'm already polling in New Hampshire, and I'll be there later this week. So I only have 2 more polls to hit above 1%. And I feel good about me. But you can go to WayneForAmerica.com and you can be one of my 65,000 unique donors. Even if it's just $1 or $2, just count towards having a mayor's voice on the discussion, talking about issues like criminal justice reform and issues that are important to you. Yes, sir.
Wayne, if I could, when you work in a brewery, you have to speak over equipment. This will help you do so.
President of first, welcome to Iowa Mayor, and I'm in real beautiful state and Moines. My question is that I spent 9 years of working permit and 18 years for citizenship as a legal immigrant. Now as an undocumented immigrants, and it's easier or quicker to get like a few months or up here waiting period for working permit. What kind of signal does the American federal immigration policy send, saying that if you are going the legal way, you wait 9 years. If you're going jump over the wall or just across border without any legal permission, you can get pretty quick. So what kind of signal does the federal agency send? And what do you want to solve this problem if you feel this problem?
So if I understand your question, I guess what you're asking is what is my position on immigration policy?
I don't make it specific because I came to this country as a student and then stay here for job, but it took me 9 years to get a working permit. But if you just some people like from the border to jump over the wall, you can get working permit very quick.
So the thing is it's to solve immigration, to solve our immigration dilemma is not going to be easy. Because whatever the proposed solution is, there's going to be someone who will be able to raise their hand and perhaps justifiably so say that I took longer or that was not my process, it's fair or it's not. So we know it's an imperfect situation because it's a mess. This is coming from a son of immigrants. First, I believe we do need comprehensive immigration reform, right? We do need comprehensive immigration reform. We need to take this issue on head on. Because the fact of the matter is we have over 11 million undocumented individuals in this country. So the question is, what do we do with them? Individuals that are working, paying taxes, and for the vast majority of them are they're law-abiding individuals. So the question naturally is, so we just allow them to become citizens overnight? I'm not saying that is the case. However, I do believe that we should provide some form of pathway to citizenship for those individuals. Now, the debate will be is what does that look like and what is it, the time period. But I think that the fact that they're here in this country, some of them, no fault of their own. You have DACA recipients, you have individuals who have come here and maybe under TPS status. But these individuals are here in this country. And if we're honest about this situation, immigrants that are here undocumented, working, if we were serious about immigration enforcement, we would have the harshest penalties for corporations that hire undocumented workers. It would be so punitive that it would shake to the core of the foundations of their corporations if they are caught with undocumented individuals working for their corporations. But we don't. I'm the only candidate that will say that and has said it. So if we're really honest as a country, we will own up and admit that. But because we are exploiting their presence here, they're working here, they're paying taxes here, we get the benefit of their work and their labor. But no one says that. And that is the truth. I come from a foreign community. You have legal workers who are documented at work, but you also have individuals who are undocumented at work. And it would be a very significant impact to farming industries that have individuals who are undocumented working for them if they were immediately gone. And that is a fact. So when I say that we should provide a pathway to more citizenship, it's not like they're just getting it. They are working and they're contributing to our country. And I think the humane thing is to provide a pathway. Now the debate will be in the policy that determines what that looks like and what the tenure will be. But I think until we recognize that, these individuals need to come out of the shadows. And I think they're going to benefit our country.
One of the challenges that mayors, governors face is that they don't have a lot of foreign policy experience to bring to the table. I think we're all aware of problems that are out there outside the United States, problems that we have addressing different issues around the world. But what unique experience do you bring to the table when it comes to foreign policy?
Well, we'll have a lot of opportunities to debate those characteristics, but I'll just point out, no matter who's president, outside of, it's rare where, you have any candidate that is elected president that has been elected to have an overwhelming or significant amount of foreign policy experience. Our current president didn't have foreign policy experience. The president before him did not have significant foreign policy experience. George W. Bush did not have significant foreign policy experience. So I don't buy into that notion. That is why presidents have a Secretary of State, a cabinet. They have a council of individuals that can help, that will lead to the table to make the decisions that need to be made, especially those that may require military response or intervention. I will be a president that will listen to my generals, unlike the current president that's in office right now. I will be a president that will actually listen to my Secretary of State, unlike the current president of the United States. When I launched my exploratory committee after being reelected, I went to Israel. I went to Israel not by an organization or sponsored by an organization. AIPAC didn't send me, no other organization sent me. I went on my own. I went to Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and Ramallah. I visited with the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs and met with their deputy minister there. I met with the deputy speaker of the Knesset on the far left, on the labor side of their Israeli government. I met with the far right wing of their government. I met with the Israeli people. The next day I went to Ramallah, met with Dr. Saeed Arafat, who actually negotiated the Oslo Accord. I went to Hebron, which is a Palestinian territory which has been settled and occupied by the Israeli people, to see the impacts of some of the settlements and how it's impacting the Palestinian people. And what I took away from that trip was pretty amazing. It was a common thread on both sides. Both sides want peace. Both sides want the opportunity to sit together and to negotiate a two-state solution. The
the same two-state solution that they have both agreed to. The problem is that this current administration has resorted to using very stringent, right-wing evangelicals to lead the negotiations in that sector of the region. And this is the problem. It's causing the far right of the Israeli government to resort to the fear of attacks and terrorism to do further settlements into Palestinian territory. It's causing the extreme factions of the Palestinian people to put pressure on the diplomats of the Palestinian people who are trying to negotiate, but they're having short tolerance because of all of the settlements, the recent move to the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. It's beginning to cause irreversible damage to the prospects of the two sides sitting together to negotiate a two-state solution. There's one thing to have conflict and disagreement on territorial boundaries because of settlements, because boundaries can be drawn. But what's taking place right now is that this conflict is evolving into a religious war. And when anything turns into a religious war, there's no rational reasoning to peace. And that is what is happening there right now. So when I say that the United States needs to reinsert itself as an honest broker in these international issues, it's where we are in a place where we're not dictating the relationships, but we're holding the two sides accountable to agree to execute what they both come to terms to do. And that's what's important. Israel will always be a strong ally to the United States because it's that important to the United States to keep peace and have positioning in that region. However, we cannot do things that will exacerbate a very fragile situation from a diplomatic and military standpoint that will ignite conflict that will disrupt the entire region. So that is the lesson that I learned when I went there. And when we look at Wayne Messam in terms of what type of president that I will be as it relates to international affairs, I will have the temperament to understand and have the core values to be an honest broker in a situation, to be able to see truth to a power, and to be consistent across the boards. Because we can't pick and choose our battles. Because while we're picking and choosing and inserting ourselves from an isolation standpoint that this current administration is doing, we're going at it alone without our allies, long-time relationships that we've had over the years to help us better navigate these troubling waters. And that won't be a Messam administration. Yes, sir.
Welcome to Iowa. One of the big concerns in Iowa is, of course, farming. And one of the things that Iowa farmers have been able to do is bring a renewable fuel to market. And one of the bills that helped give access to that market is renewable fuel standard. And I don't know if you're as familiar with it, but I was curious where you stand on renewable fuels and if you commit to supporting the renewable fuel standard.
Well, you know, I've always had the position of being very progressive as it relates to our impact on the environment. So we must always look at ways that prioritizes that reduces our carbon footprint and impacts, especially that impacts our atmosphere, which leads to global warming and climate change. I would support the investments to bring to market and to advance existing options for energy to ensure that it meets the goal of reducing our carbon footprint. You know, obviously, renewable energy is the best option to have in terms of fueling our economy because it has the best, it helps us to preserve our earth because standard and legacy fuel options renewable energy sources to help fuel our society.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Just to follow up on this gentleman's question, the renewable fuel standard, as the Farm Bureau and others in Iowa would like to see it implemented, also contributes to a lot of overproduction of corn, and that contributes to fouling our streams and waterways with phosphorus and nitrogen. And also, when you're planting fence row to fence row, you destroy a lot of habitat, use a lot of herbicides and pesticides, and those contribute. And then we've got we have about 7 times more hogs here than we've got people, and that contributes to environmental issues. And a lot of the corn that's raised, or some of the corn that's raised, goes to feed the hogs. So I wonder, what would you be doing to help us here to clean up our water?
Well, the thing is that what we have to do, and I come from a community that has, we don't grow as many pigs and hogs as Iowa, but we do have a lot of sugar cane, we do have a lot of other agricultural products that are grown. And it's the same situation in terms of the phosphorus runoffs into our water systems, and it's just causing a lot of natural habitat imbalance. And I think what we first have to do is we have to hold our farmers responsible in terms of first understanding what your operational impacts are on the environment. Because I think first when you educate, and many of them know, but when industry understands the impacts that it's having on the environment, then you can start addressing what those negative impacts are. So obviously farming is very important to our economy, to our way of life in terms of this country. And I think this is where we can work together, where we can help to invest in providing resources, incentives, rewarding those good stewards that do a great job documenting how they are diverting that runoff, those negative impacts into our waterways to contaminate our water situation. Your question was more in terms of how to clean it up. I think we start with first, let's try to avoid the contaminations from taking place. And then for those waterways that are contaminated, we look at best practices in terms of how to mitigate that damage and pollution that has taken place. But first starting with the farmers, educating them, rewarding those who are good stewards, and perhaps having some penalties for those who are either abusing the system or are not complying with best practices to avoid such contamination. Yes, sir.
I'm a senior at Manny High School and go to Brewing College. I'm originally from Shanghai, China, so I actually witnessed all the what did the Chinese Communist Party do during its control. Like they actually did what like Hitler did to put people from Tibet in re-education camp, and they actually tear down all the Christian churches that were ceded to the Christians, and they actually forced my mom to do abortion because of the single child policy. So they killed my little sister basically, and now they're expanding, they're taking advantage of America, and they're expanding. They basically doing the what they call the Silk Road to do a lot of alliances, and it's expanding as a communist nation. And now China to America is like the USSR to America during the Cold War, and the current administration is stopping it, is halting this evil in the world, but it's not doing it the right way. It's killing Iowa farmers because of the trade war. So what will you do to still contain the communism from spreading, from having more alliances, but meanwhile keep the trade open and keep Iowa farmers from profiting?
Well, you touched a lot in that question. You touched on foreign policy, you touched on trade, you touched on just civil rights. But first of all, in terms of that honest broker, you know, in our current isolationist position, I mean, by going it alone internationally does not help us. To deal with China, we need to have an alliance of friends that is spreading democracy, to shed the light of democracy across this globe, so that countries who would be susceptible to falling under a communist regime would feel that they have allies and an option not to revert to that. You know, I think it's quite interesting. You know, China released a 50-year manifesto that basically, in short, talked about how China's dominance and leadership is needed globally, and that their charge is to ensure that they deliver that in so many words. Where is our 50-year manifesto? Where are our big ideas? Where is America's position and stance to say that we will be a shining light internationally, where other nations can see that democracy and the American way is a model that other countries can not only emulate, but can rely on in terms of their quest to develop their own democracy. And I think we start there. Instead of us pitting Americans against Americans. Because right now, as we have our hands all over this globe in all these conflicts, shattering relationships that we've had for centuries, you have China that is investing globally. They're building bases in the ocean, right in our backyard in the Caribbean. There's probably not a Caribbean nation that does not have significant Chinese investment into their infrastructure. So not only are these nations and these emerging markets across the globe are indebted to China, China is spreading its diplomacy in these nations. While we're here falling asleep talking about making America great again, taking us back to periods of time which was not the glory years for the United States. We have to wake up, America. We must wake up. Because if we don't, the picture that you just stated in your question will become a reality. And their 50-year manifesto will become a reality. The Messam administration won't let it be a reality. So thank you for your question. Yes, sir.
So, addressing climate change, to stop the output of carbon dioxide is really admirable. Building LEED platinum buildings, great, it's true. That's true at the point where we actually have to reverse it. We have to get it back, not just slow it down. And I also know that water tables are rising in Florida, saltwater intrusion into aquifers. We come from a farming background. And it's tough because farmers have to make a living. But there's a lot of very practical things that can be done when you can actually end climate change and reverse it. And also, I think you're going to find a lot of unique voters here in Iowa who will work on your 60 years.
Yeah. You know, so climate change is critical. And ironically, even this administration's own report states that if we don't act today, in 10 years, we will have irreversible negative consequences to the quality of the air we breathe and the water that we drink. If we don't act today. And oftentimes when we hear about climate change, the first thing that comes to mind is, being from South Florida, we always talk about coastal cities, sea level rise. But it's hurting Iowa and other states that depend on farming. Because as our climate is changing, it's changing the output and production of farm products. Soy doesn't grow as well as it did anymore in certain regions. It's literally shifting the geography of the regions of what can grow in certain areas. So don't think because Iowa doesn't have beaches that climate change isn't impacting it. It will, and that's why it's so important.
So there's been a lot of talk about the Green New Deal lately. And in terms of my position on that is that I can support the end goal of the Green New Deal and the sense of urgency that the Green New Deal brings to the table. And I look forward to proposing my own proposal that would have the end goal and a sense of urgency as the Green New Deal. But I think we have to take bold action to be able to not only address the issue, but to begin to reverse this challenge that we have.
Another, going a different direction. One of the problems we have right now is being able to accomplish anything in life. Both sides are dug in, both sides are playing a very political game, both sides are unwilling to compromise with each other. And you're the seventh candidate that I've come to see, and all of them are saying, here are all the bad things that are happening, here's why all the Republicans are so evil and why they're not doing things. What is it that you could do, and what experience have you had in working in a bipartisan manner and toning down that political division? Because like I said, I'm hearing it from every candidate that the world is coming to an end because Republicans have at least a little bit of power.
Well, one thing we can say tonight, I haven't cried out calamity. I've said Washington is broken, and I think being a mayor, working in a nonpartisan environment, I haven't been brainwashed. I haven't been swayed. I'm a Democrat and I bleed blue. But being a mayor, we don't see left or right. Being a mayor, we don't see Democrat or Republican. What we see are our residents. What we see are our challenges that we have to solve. So I would go into Washington not with the baggage of being in my caucus or the caucuses I belong to while a U.S. Senator or in the House of Representatives. I would come in looking at these challenges because all I see is I just want my seniors to be able to afford their prescription medicine. I want my hardworking Americans who have to work 2 and 3 jobs to only have one job because they're making a living wage. They can afford to take care of their families. I want to make sure that individuals can have the benefit of enjoying the Second Amendment, but on the same note, ensuring that those individuals who shouldn't have a gun don't have a gun, or certain types of assault-style weapons. That's the temperament I'll bring to Washington. Now, I'm not naive, and I understand that Washington is a bipartisan or is a partisan place. And depending on who controls what House of Congress is going to dictate what comes out as policy. But I will definitely use and exhaust every power I have from the executive branch and put forth not empty threats, but real threats in terms of what will and won't be signed if certain things are included in a bill. It's really what it boils down to is having a political will. We have a president right now that wants to build a wall on our southern border. And his political will to build that wall is so strong, both houses of Congress have stated that they will not fund it. But his will is so strong, he's willing to take it from the Department of Defense and other areas to build it. But why can't we have the same political will to provide health care for everybody? Why can't we have the same political will to ensure that our streets are safe? Why can't we have the same political will to take action on climate change? Why can't we have the same political will to do something finally about immigration in this country? I would have that political will.
Would you put yourself, not even as Democrats are split from, say, a very far impeach him now stand versus, hey, let's get something done stand? Who would you say would be the closest ally to you far as where would you put yourself in which camp of the Democrat Party?
Neither. I would put myself in the Democratic camp that wants to act for the American people.
But would you, I mean, all of those people would say the same thing.
Well, the thing is like you have to look at issues. See, we look at partisan divide too much. We have to look at issues. If we're dealing with immigration, I'm dealing with what is going to solve the problems and put the best position for America to move forward.
So would you be willing to compromise on a wall to get something else, like DACA or something?
It will be foolish for America to not put everything on the table. I have no problems in ensuring that we have a great defense system in terms of technology, hard barrier, surveillance to monitor our border. If we are dealing with our 11 million undocumented individuals, finally putting a solution to DACA and TPS recipients. That's comprehensive immigration reform. Again, focusing on what's best for America, for the American people.
Not make America great again.
Listen, America is
I'm sorry. I was being a little snotty.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to know, what do you think about racial bias that exists today in our knowledge? And
You want to give her the mic?
I'll repeat the question. I wanted to know what you think about racial bias that exists in our country today. A lot of people don't even acknowledge that it exists. There's a lot of incidents with law enforcement and African American men and women. And would you be for reparations? Do you think that it's worth to consider that? Do you think it's going to solve problems? How do you solve that problem? And I'm not really convinced that it's the president to solve those problems, but I want to know your thoughts on how do you think that problem can be solved?
All excellent questions, and questions that I just love. And I'll first start off with, in terms of the first question, in terms of racial bias and criminal justice. And I think there is overwhelming evidence that shows that the enforcement of our laws against Black people is different in many instances. I'm not using a brush to paint on all of law enforcement. I just say that there's enough evidence to show that there is racial bias, and we have to do it. I think anyone who denies that is just in denial. It's just in denial. The next question in terms of reparations. And my response is that first I'll start by saying this. America has yet to formally, as a country or as a government, to acknowledge and own up to the impact of free labor of enslaved people that helped build this country. Has yet to do that. Has yet to deal with race from a real perspective in terms of acknowledging that this country was built upon free labor of enslaved people in Africa. And that's a fact. That's what happened. That's what took place. As a result, there are documentable impacts of the free labor of enslaved people by their descendants leading up to that. So to answer your question in terms of reparations, no one has a definition for reparations. The root word of reparations is repayment. So in other words, you're repairing the impact of free labor of enslaved people that were brought here from Africa. And what does it mean today? Because it goes even beyond just the free labor. Because as slavery was abolished, and the acceptance of now these slaves and descendants of slaves into American society. There still was a lot of division. You had the Jim Crow laws, the impacts of that, redlining of communities where only black people could live, from the financial markets. There were certain loans that black people couldn't get to buy houses or to even start a business that white America was able to do, to buy homes and to start businesses. So it has been able to benefit over the years from that. So there is impact. So I support H.R. 40, which is House Resolution 40, in Congress that's sponsored by Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee out of Houston, out of Texas. I think she's out of Houston. Which is calling for an independent commission to scientifically study the impacts of free labor by enslaved people and their descendants today, looking at everything from slavery to Jim Crow era, to Civil Rights era, to today, so that it can define scientifically and objectively what those impacts are. So then and provide recommendations on how to repair those impacts. Now, whatever that recommendation is would have to be debated in Congress and decided, but at least they're debating on issues that have been scientifically studied, opposed to me or you or someone else saying, well, I think this should happen, or that should happen, or that amount of money, or whatever the case may be. Because it may not just be about money. It might be about perhaps funding for housing, access to health care, perhaps resources for higher education or vocational training, whatever those recommendations may be. So I think once we start with objectable information that we can assess, debate, and then come up with recommendations is how we can deal with reparations. Yes.
Two other questions. One dealing with the Electoral College, and the other was with gerrymandering. There's a lot of people in the party right now calling for the elimination, the abolishment of the Electoral College. Where you stand on that particular thought? And then also, I think a lot of people agree that gerrymandering is bad. What would you recommend when it came to changing gerrymandering laws?
Well, I think one for gerrymandering in essence is supposed to be used to reflect a changing geography to ensure representation. That's really, if it's used in a perfect sense. Okay, so there's not an imbalance of representation because the shift of population, the shift of a particular district, right? But we know that politics gets involved and it's used to benefit whoever's in control. That's the problem we have with gerrymandering. In terms of the Electoral College.
Well, how could you fix that gerrymandering? So what would you recommend when it came to fixing that?
Well, the thing is that it has to have an objective process that has, there's pluses and minuses to be able to adjust to the changing demographics of a particular voting district. I think to eliminate it totally would leave a void in adjusting for changing demographics. That ends up having legislative representation that doesn't necessarily reflect the represented district. You understand what I'm saying? So in its purest sense, I think that we should have some form of the ability to adjust geographic lines to ensure that the represented constituency has a representation that represents the interests of that particular district. And to remove that totally, I think may not necessarily be in the best interest of the constituency. In terms of the Electoral College, I'd give this analogy. Being an athlete, it's like I go into a game under a certain set of rules. I play the game, give a great effort, I lose the game, we're all playing by the same game, and then after the game, I lost, and I want to change the rules
because I felt that I lost because the rules weren't in my favor for that particular game, right? I just use it as an analogy to set up my response. I think electoral college actually is an imperfect process to give representation to smaller states. If you really think about it, I like to keep things as simple as possible. It's an imperfect process to give representation to smaller states. So, is it fair that Iowa goes first? Every Iowan should be raising their hand and saying, yes, it's fair for us to go first, right? Because it's a smaller state. It's a smaller state who otherwise would be silenced by Miami, Florida, Tampa, Florida, New York City, Charlotte, Houston, LA. You would never have a voice, right? So that's why we have an electoral college process. But at the end of the day, as Democrats, we have to organize. We have the rules. We have to organize. Now, should there be some tweaking to the electoral process to make it a little better? Sure, probably could be some tweaking. But at the end of the day, when we lose, we have to look in the mirror and say, why did we lose? Did we organize? Did we ensure everyone came out to vote where they needed to come out to vote? I'm not hearing the answers to those questions. Why, after every election cycle, it's like a reboot? What happened to all of the momentum, all of the effort that came from 2016? Now 2020, we're starting from scratch. Why can't the Democratic Party put a system in place that builds upon each election cycle? Why do we always have to start over from scratch? We have to start looking in the mirror, not just the Democratic Party, but America. We need to look in the mirror when it comes to health care. As a country, the greatest country on this earth, how can we look in the mirror and see our fellow brothers and sisters who don't have health care? How can we look in the mirror when a young boy or young girl wants to go to college, but because their parents can't afford it, they can't go? We have to start looking in the mirror. We have to start looking in the mirror. Does that answer your question? No, it doesn't. It doesn't answer your question. But what I'm saying is that, what I hope you take away from my response, is that we know the rules to the game. We know the rules to the game. Because if we wipe out electoral college, I can tell you right now, you wouldn't have seen 7 presidential candidates to come talk to you about why farming is so important in Iowa, and why climate change and the solutions that are coming out of Iowa. You know, the gentleman shared with me how we can do some changes and some impacts to our soil that can address climate change. You wouldn't have those discussions. Is it right? I don't think it's yes or no. All I can say is that the system we have right now are the rules of the game. We're going into the match knowing the rules. It's an imperfect system to give Iowa representation, to give New Hampshire representation, to give Nevada representation. So that's my answer.
Yes, sir, I've got a question that I haven't heard asked yet, but before I ask it, I want to advise you that when you're in Iowa, the right answer to gerrymandering is to do it the way Iowa does it, because we do it right.
We're Nebraska or Maine.
Well, I just know we do it right. So the my question to you though is, and I'm not big on identity politics, but nevertheless, half the population, more than half maybe, is women, and I wonder what you think the most important issues facing our country with respect to women might be, and how you would approach addressing them.
Well, I'll start in my own home. I told you after my NFL career, which cut short, who did I start my business with? My wife. We're both general contractors. I have twin daughters who are freshmen at Florida International University. They're the apple of my eye. And I want them to grow up in America where if they choose to work in corporate America, that they're making at least what their male counterparts are making. I want them to grow up in America that if they have to make a decision in regards to their reproductive health, that they should have the opportunity to make that very tough decision on their own, and that government should not intervene, and that their right to make that tough choice is already settled law. And as president, I'll be resolute in defending that. I would hope that they can grow up in America where they don't feel harassed by any man or woman from a sexual nature, as we've seen from this Me Too movement. I would hope that they would be in an America that values them for their contributions to this country, for their humanity, and for their right to reap all the benefits of being in America. Yes, sir.
You are a mayor. You care about the residents in your city, and the founding idea of America is being taxed with representation. And there's a city where the residents are being taxed without representation. I've been involved in the DC statehood. I was for DC statehood, and I also talked with a senator from DC, Senator Strauss. So they're being taxed. They have a significant amount of residents there without representation in Congress. So what is your position?
I think DC should have the right to statehood if that's what they choose to do. And I also think that Puerto Rico should also have the right to be in a state as well.
Okay. I've got a softball question for you.
Those are the ones that strike you out, I'm telling you.
What I'm wondering about, and you've touched on a lot of issues, which one of the issues that are out there, maybe you haven't talked about it, but what issue would you say is the one you're the most passionate about, the one that if you didn't accomplish that in your first term, providing you're going to get the second term, which one would you say you were a failure if you didn't get to that one issue that you wanted to get to?
Well, I think an issue that is very important, it doesn't really pull high in terms of progressive issues. Well, something that I'm very interested in is America's ascension and resurrection back into being the global leader in big ideas, big solutions. Like when we first went to space, to the moon, that type of innovation. And the disparity between our dominance and whoever's in second place was just so great. We still dominate, but that gap has been shrunk. Other countries are catching up, and certainly in some areas they've already surpassed us. So now there's a big thing right now in terms of what we're entering into right now, and that's the gig economy. We in America, we're being bombarded now with artificial intelligence, virtualization, automation. It's literally redefining work. There are a lot of people being displaced. If you have a job that's routine, mundane, repetitive, it is going to be replaced by a robot, some kind of technological innovation, or some artificial intelligence. Have you heard anything come from Washington in terms of a strategic plan to dominate in that space? No.
Have you heard of a strategic plan that's dealing with cybersecurity? You're not hearing about strategic plans about that, right? We are having daily attacks on our national defense information systems, our financial information systems, our medical information systems. Every major database and system in our society is daily being attacked. We basically need to invest in current workforce, individuals like these young men, to be our first line defense as it relates to putting a barrier over our country to protect our data. Because everything now is shifting towards information and data, automation and robotics and artificial intelligence. And we can dominate in this space. You will be creating new jobs because this is a new era. We're positioning in position, we'll start. These young men will be the innovators and producers of this new technology. They'll be our next billionaires who will understand that we're all in the same boat and won't mind paying their fair share to help all of America rise, right? Right? We're speaking into existence, right? But these are things that if we really think about this, and if we're intentional about it, we'll protect our society, we'll continue to innovate. We used to lead when this country, well, we still big in farming, but when farming kind of shifted to the big industrial revolution and manufacturing, and now because of globalization and because other countries don't play by the same labor rules that we play by, that manufacturing is starting to leave or has left, okay? But now this new era is automation, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity. This is a new era that has so much potential, and we need to invest in that. Because if we do, then we'll continue our rise as leaders. Our next generation will be our next innovators. And we'll prepare our country and we'll protect our country standing in terms of where the next opportunities are. So that's a very, very, very big area that I'm interested in. In fact, I want to invest in creating and investing in our youth so that they can become entrepreneurs, whether they start a business or not. If we train our youth to be innovators, to take an idea, our talent, our concept, to make it into a business or to monetize that idea, it will make them prepared to be business owners, or if they work into corporate America, make their companies that they work for, because they'll be approaching their jobs from an entrepreneurial standpoint, making our companies more efficient, more competitive, and more successful. Creating jobs, hiring more Americans who can now buy more things, who can then now invest in more things, and our economy continues to grow. I was waiting for a question. Yes, I finally woke up.
Speaking of automation, what do you plan to do about the millions of jobs that are being replaced right now?
So a part of that investment to create an entrepreneur, so part of that process will be for us to focus on tracks of industries that has the greatest upside in terms of the needs. So whether it's cybersecurity, getting certifications, and if you want to code, or it could be something in terms of, all right, we have more autonomous vehicles now. We have more robotics now. Someone has to fix them. Someone has to repair them. So that's your vocational track. So we will be investing into the areas where this new innovation, this new industry is going towards, because you're going to need service providers, you're going to need suppliers to service this new era. So if we are intentionally investing in you guys to say, listen, well, think about the millions of Uber drivers and Lyft drivers that are out there across the country. Just 2 years ago, I was in Silicon Valley and I sat in a prototype autonomous vehicle driving me around because they will be deployed across the country by an app that you can call that will take you to school, to the airport, to wherever you want to go. So what's going to happen to all those Uber drivers who are now their jobs have been replaced by an unmanned driving vehicle that has replaced what they were doing to make people supplemental income, some people full-time income. So if we see this coming, let's prepare for it. Let's train those drivers to start a business to maybe a cleaning company to clean the fleet that's now here in this area. Or let's train someone who wants to become a technician on how to reprogram one of these autonomous vehicles because whatever happened, it doesn't work like it was designed to work. This is how we approach these problems and these challenges, but we have to have a political will and a foresight to strategically invest where these needs are. Good question.
You know, Iowa has the most deficient bridges of any state in the country. And our infrastructure all over the country is bad, needs work. So what parts of the infrastructure would you emphasize initially, and how expansive would you get in trying to deal with our infrastructure issues?
Well, I think first we would need to look at areas that is at most risk. So in other words, dams, bridges, areas in our country that are more susceptible to weather events that create flooding, something in regards that will have an impact that impacts thousands, tens of thousands of individuals. We have to deal with those issues. I think we definitely should be investing in our more urban areas in terms of mass transportation, high-speed rail to connect regions with each other. We have to think about what our future is going to look like. So, for example, in the city of Miramar, you're already thinking about the deployment of where 5G installations will go and how it will benefit residential areas versus commercial areas. So that we can maintain competitive regards to other cities. So from a national standpoint, we have to look at our national infrastructure from a telecommunications in our rural communities. So many of our rural communities don't have adequate infrastructure in terms of internet connectivity. We have kids who only can access the internet in school. When they go home, they don't have internet access, either because they cannot afford to have it, or AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, some of the other carriers have not put the investments into those areas. So we need to make sure that no community where we are has this interconnectivity, access to information either. So I think in terms of our infrastructure, we're going to go from a public safety standpoint to resolve those issues that are most vulnerable where disaster, when weather events and disaster takes place, that we are fortifying those areas so that we can reduce the loss of life during those periods of time. And we also look at how do we make our rural communities more connected to the internet, as well as looking at our transportation network as our communities begin to grow and expand and move individuals and get them from out of cars. I think I've exhausted every question, right? Thank you all for having me, and like I said before, my goal right now is that I need your help to get into the debate stage. So just let everybody know about this conversation. Visit my website, waitingforamerica.com, or you go to waitingforusa.com. We want to 65,000 dollars. These issues are worth $1 to me. Worth $1. These issues are worth $50. Whatever you want to do. Just help me get on the debate stage. Because I think I would bring a unique voice as a mayor. I wouldn't have that Washington inside language. I'll talk about what it means to be a mayor and how we can solve these issues as a mayor. Where I think our country needs to be going. I think with a different approach to the discussion. Thank you.
want to welcome you to Iowa. And I want you to understand, this is Iowa politics at its finest. There is only one caucus like Iowa, and you're in it. I appreciate all the questions all of you had, even though some of you may have been forced by a class assignment to be here. I hope you learned something from it. Welcome to the media and everybody involved. And this is what it's all about. So we welcome all of you to Fox Brewing. Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir.
Outstanding presentation. Thank